Hey guys, it's Vanessa and welcome back to my channel. I have another What's for Dinner video for you guys where I show you what I feed my blended family of 6 from Monday to Friday, and stay tuned to the end for an extra special recipe. Now, I had a lot of meal prep plans this week for some freezer meals for another video that I'm doing. When I'm planning to do that, I like to do it on an off week where we only have my daughter for most of the week because we are a blended family and we do 1 week on, 1 week off. So this week is an off week and I planned on making some freezer meals during my regular meals. Now tonight was just a hot dog night and spicy fries because that was the easiest thing that I could pump out and still managed to do a few other preps that I wanted to get done. I'm gonna go ahead and cook my fries in the air fryer because, as per Jamie, any other way is unacceptable anymore. He does not like it any other way. This is the only way he likes to eat them, and frankly, same goes for me. I'm gonna go ahead and slice a little slit in all of these hot dogs before I pan fry them in some butter. I don't think I'll ever stop raving about the rock pan from Heritage. I'm gonna say it in every video, you need to go and get one. I have a few different sizes now. I even have a griddle. I'll show you guys that in one of my freezer meal videos coming up where I make pancakes. It's amazing, but take a look at these hot dogs. They don't burn, they're perfect. I love it, absolutely love it. It's a little high here. You see the smoke? It's fine, we saved it. I'm only toasting 3 of the buns because it's not really Belle's favorite. She kind of likes them steamed or just kind of as is. So go ahead, and if you guys know anything about your air fryer, you need to shake it probably every 5 minutes or so when you're cooking fries or anything, mainly because I like to stuff the basket past its capacity. Now back to the hot dogs. You guys, this was not a gourmet meal. I'm telling you, my What's for Dinners are not about showing you exciting new recipes. They're just about showing you how I get through the week with my family and what we eat and what makes us happy. Tonight, it was sliced watermelon, slightly spiced curly fries, and a hot dog. Belle was happy, Jamie was happy, and I was even able to bang out some freezer pancakes. So it all worked out. Now that was supper for Monday night. Now you're probably seeing a pattern in my Tuesdays, in my What's for Dinners, because it seems like every second Tuesday we're doing Taco Tuesday, and I'm not mad at it. My ground beef was still frozen, so I go ahead and thaw it out in the Dutch oven with the lid on it on low heat. That seems to work best. I find when I do it in the microwave, it feels like it's cooking it a little bit and it grosses me out. But by all means, do it if that's what you like. I'm gonna go ahead and prep all the veggies. While that's happening, we keep it simple. We like a little bit of shredded lettuce and diced up tomatoes. Now, if there's one thing that I keep suggesting to anybody who's intimidated about chopping or slicing, buy a good knife. The sharper it is, the less likely you are that you're going to cut yourself because it's actually going to go through your tomato. Do you see how well this goes through? And a little bit of practice, you guys, and it's going to be no problem at all. Now, I know I could just put the cheese bag out, but I'll tell you, the kids will destroy that bag. So I like to portion it out into a bowl just to control how much that they're using. Also, go ahead and wrap up my flour tortillas in some aluminum foil so I can heat them up in the oven with our shells. I bought these President's Choice flour tortillas on my last grocery haul or my weekend prep video. I'd like to report back that they tasted great, so we'll probably buy these instead of the more expensive Old El Paso in the future. Okay, so all the liquid in here is not fat, you guys. It was frozen, so there was a little bit of water from the de-thaw. but I'm gonna go ahead and leave it in there because I need it for the liquid for my taco seasoning. I go ahead and season it with a little bit of garlic, salt, and pepper before I add the taco seasoning. Habitual, it's just what I do to ground beef. And then I'm gonna add what looks like a monstrous amount of taco seasoning. But is it just me, or does it feel like it does not absorb? I don't know if I need to try a different seasoning, but this Old El Paso brand, it's just, I don't know. I feel like I need so much of it that the next day my hands are ridiculously swollen from the salt. Here you go, guys. The meat is sizzling hot, ready to go. All the condiments and the vegetables are laid out for everybody to eat when they're ready. You know my household, it's a little bit chaotic. So within about an hour, everybody had eaten. It was amazing. These were my tacos. I don't know, you guys. Sometimes I feel like I could have Taco Tuesday every day, but then it wouldn't be Tuesday. But you know what I mean. Anyway, this was supper for Tuesday night. All right, so like I said, I was keeping it simple this week. We are having leftover meatballs with sauce that I pulled out of the freezer, and I'm gonna go ahead and boil up some penne and bread and butter, not even garlic bread, keeping it super simple. Now I happen to be doing a freezer meal prep plan thingamabob that night, so there's not a ton of sauce in here. I do have a jar that I can use, and I can steal some of the sauce from my freezer meal. Guys, it all comes full circle. Yep, here I go, grabbing that jar of sauce from the fridge, realizing there is no way that little pot of sauce is going to feed us, even if we're only 3. Now, those 2 pots you see in the front are for a freezer meal video. I will probably not link it because I don't think it's going to be out yet, but keep an eye out for it. I'm just going to go ahead and boil up the rest of this penne. I never know how much to cook. I want to cook half the box, then I cook 3/4, then I'm like, why am I keeping 1/4 of the box? So I always end up with more pasta than I'm going to need, but my plan with that one is to freeze in individual containers when I have some left for lunches. So go ahead and add some oil to your penne so it doesn't stick. Okay, so you're asking yourself, Vanessa, where did the spaghetti come from? I didn't skip a step. I had some spaghetti left from my freezer meal video. So again, full circle. I'm just mixing the 2 together. It's an exciting pasta night, guys. Penne, spaghetti, it's everything, no? Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and add the marinara or the pasta sauce right to it. You can see it burnt a little bit because Mama wasn't paying attention. Does this not look delicious though? Like, I'm starting to think I need to combine penne and spaghetti in every one of my meals. It really was delicious. Now, a lot of you may not realize, but I have struggled with my weight my whole life. The one thing I have learned when preparing a meal, obviously this is not a weight conscious meal, you guys. I'm in another stage of my weight concern of life. Anyway, one thing I do when preparing a meal is making it look good, making it look appetizing and inviting, like something I want to eat. So taking the time to put some pickles on my plate and just make it look good just makes it taste better. Anyway, you guys, this was supper for Wednesday night. All right, sticking to a pretty simple theme this week, we're doing taco salad and some pizza bagels that I freezer prepped. So for myself, I'm having a taco salad. So I layer lettuce, ground beef, cheese, tomatoes, salsa, and sour cream. Sometimes I'll put chips, but obviously I wasn't feeling it tonight. It was delicious. What is it about tacos that are better a couple days later? I thought I was cool. Now, my freezer meal video is going to be posted in about a day or so, but these are the pizza bagels. I did some works and some all meat. I went ahead up and did an all meat for Belle and a works for Sebastian. Yeah, did I mention I have insane fingers and I can touch really hot things? It's weird. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and slice these up. You guys, these cook up so easy, right from frozen. These ones were cooked fresh because I had just made them that day and everybody wanted to eat them immediately. They do not last long in my freezer, let me tell you. But you will never make another pre-made frozen that you didn't make in your, you know what I mean, in your own house. Yeah, okay. You'll never buy box versions of these. You will always want to make them. They are delicious. All right, this was supper for Thursday night. So I told you I had an extra special recipe at the end of this video, and I meant it. These are my mom's homemade beans and my mom's homemade tea biscuits. I am so excited to share this with you guys. This was my first time ever making these beans, so I'm exceptionally proud about how amazing they turned out. Just keep watching. Now go ahead and soak your beans overnight, covering with about 2 inches of water. When they're ready the next day, you're going to throw them in a pot. Again, cover them with water and boil them for about 30 minutes, no more, or they're kind of annihilated in the baking process, in my opinion. The ingredients are super basic here, guys. Brown sugar, yellow mustard, ketchup, molasses, salt, pepper, and whatever kind of fat you'd want. I like pork fat, so bacon is what I went with. You could also just use straight up pork fat that you can find in your meat section. Just use an oven-safe pot. If you have a Dutch oven like I have here, the Lagostina, which is pretty affordable if you have a Canadian Tire around you, mine was $60. It's perfect. I've used it in the oven for other recipes. Just go ahead and pour your beans right into the Dutch oven and layer on whatever pork fat you've opted for. For me, bacon, I chopped it up in pretty small pieces because you have to imagine eating this on a spoon. Also, gonna go ahead and coat it with molasses. I don't have measurements, you guys. Basically, when I called my mom and asked her for this recipe, I was told she goes by color. So we're going by color. I went ahead and gave a good amount of molasses over top of it with probably about half the equivalent of ketchup because I like mine to be a little sweeter and less on the tomato side, if that makes sense. And just a little bit of mustard. If you didn't want to use mustard, I've heard you can use vinegar. My mother was adamant she has never used vinegar. I'm going to go ahead and shake some pepper on top and just a pinch of salt, not a lot. That's why you want to salt them when you boil them. I went over it, didn't like the color. I didn't think they looked dark enough. So I'm going ahead and adding about a quarter of what I've already added of all of the previous ingredients. I'm just going with my mom, you guys. She said if they don't look like the right color, just keep adding more. My best measurement here was look and smell, and they smelled phenomenal. I was really leaning for the sweeter side, so I probably went a little heavier on molasses than the average person. What you're gonna wanna do now is coat your beans in water with about 1 inch to 2 inches extra over top of it. You're gonna bake these at 300 degrees covered for 3 to 4 hours, and then you're gonna crank it up to 325 for the last hour. You're gonna think that there's a lot of liquid and it's not going anywhere, but that last hour at 325 is really gonna help caramelize and absorb the liquid. Okay, so time to make tea biscuits. I've showed you guys my recipe book before. It's from 2004. It's got some miles on it. I've used it a lot. This is mine. I kind of just write down anything that looks interesting over time, and here we are. So I am looking for my mom's tea biscuits. I think it's got like 5 lines. Yeah, there we go. I don't even have how long I'm supposed to cook them for. I'm a great recipe writer, you guys. So one thing I will say, if you want to take a screenshot of this, is it's about a half a cup of fat, not a quarter cup, and you're going to bake them from about 12 to 15 minutes. So here you go. You're going to need flour, baking powder. The butter doesn't matter. I just happen to be using butter because I didn't have shortening, so I used unsalted because that's what I had. And very cold water. It's just going to help keep your fat cold. Go ahead and measure out all of your dry ingredients into your bowl, then add your fat and cut it all together. Did I ever mention that I am an incredibly messy cook, baker in general? I'm working on that. They say that's the sign of a good chef, is somebody who can keep their kitchen clean, but one of these days I'm gonna have to show you guys behind the scenes. It's interesting. I'm using a pastry cutter here because I have one. Don't go out and buy one. Use 2 forks, 2 knives, whatever works for you. And once everything is kind of coated in the flour, I always find it feels safe to go in with my hands, that it doesn't warm the butter up too much. And you can always put these biscuits in the fridge to help solidify that butter a bit if you're really worried about it. But this is kind of one of those foolproof biscuit recipes, you guys. Even if you overwork it, they still taste good. You slather butter on it, it's good. It's flour and butter. What can go wrong? So this is the trick when making any biscuit, is finding that sweet point, I guess, where it's not too sticky and it's not too dry and it's still workable. You will find this. You can tell by looking at mine, it's kind of like Play-Doh a little bit. I don't want it to be too dry because I'm going to be flouring my surface and my hands a little bit. So that's going to add more flour to the mixture. Just keep that in mind before you dump it out of your bowl. I have an array of cookie cutters because I used to bake cookies semi-home professionally, and you don't need this. I was actually very tempted to use a glass just for nostalgic purposes, because that's what we always did when we were kids, making these with my mom. Once I've cut them all out, I go ahead and rework this extremely gently, because as much as I said you can't overwork it, when you start re-rolling the scraps, it gets a little bit tougher. I always take whatever I have left for dough and make 2 odd ones, because they're my testers. Those are the ones I taste to see if they're done. And here they are, guys. You can go ahead and brush these with butter before you bake them, but I was just trying to keep it simple. What I wouldn't give for you guys to be able to smell these. Belle doesn't even like beans, and when she came in the house after school, she said, "Oh my gosh, it smells so good in here." Yes, they tasted as good as they look, let me tell you. Doesn't mean I don't need you. These are perfect, especially for freezing. I'm going to be posting these in a freezer meal video as well within a day or so, showing you how you can reuse them for breakfast, freezing them in small containers, pulling them out when you need them. But for Friday night, this was the perfect comfort food supper. All right, you guys, there's another video in the books. I'm super happy about this week, even though the dinners were pretty simple. If you're not already subscribed, please take a second to do so. I post these videos every week along with weekend prep and some other random day in the lives. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend, and I'll see you next time. There's something different about the way we are.